Good morning, how you all doing today? I'm up early today, 7 o'clock in the garden. It's always nice coming out here. All the jungle noises, all the mating noises and all that. But anyway, talking about Rangers games, one specific games, I'll do this every so often. The one is Mo Johnston's first goal against Celtic. I was in the West Enclosure for that game, and I remember that day I was going up, and I went up with some people from Troon. And my old man, he was a cop in Glasgow. He actually used to be a cop at Ibrox as well. At times, he's got a good story. In fact, I'll tell this story. I remember it was a New Year's Day game, and he was in Govan cop station. He was a cop in Govan, and it's when Jimmy Johnson was playing for Celtic. And well, no, Jimmy Johnson was an outstanding football player. You know, he terrorised Rangers. And it was New Year's Day game at Ibrox. And in those days, the cops, this is what he told me, what they did, they would walk around the track, and if the ball went out for a throw in or a free kick, they were told to stop. That was it. They let the player take the throw in, which or the free kick or the corner, and so it was. I think he said it was at the Copeland Road end, or I think they called it the Derry, didn't they then? And he was just turning with the corner, right at the corner, what would be the Govan stand now, and there's Jimmy Johnson going to take a free kick, and apparently he'd been ripping Rangers apart that day, and he thought, I've never, ever in all my life wanted to boot someone right up the effing arse so much in my life. But he said, I was just a wee anecdote for you. But right, the Rangers, this is why I said that this came into my head. That day when I went to go up to Ibrox, I left living in Troon. I got my ticket, and my dad said, listen, see today, just be careful in the town. And he said, and he actually, and he never said that. And my mum probably didn't want me to go, but I went anyway. We went up, so up in the train. I remember getting to the town, and it was coming into Central. It was from what I remember, it just felt different that whole day. There was something in the air. Whether that's with hindsight, and there's maybe overthinking that, or maybe it didn't quite happen like this. But this is what I seem to remember. And when I say it was a different atmosphere, even in Central, wasn't a positive one for some reason. Even though we were at Ibrox and all that, I mean, there was a lot of cops in Central. So down under the Highlandman's umbrella, along to Buchanan Street, but no, along to Underground, out to Ibrox, and I came out of the Copeland, and it was a different atmosphere. It was bouncing, absolutely bouncing. I was too young to get into the Ibrox bar, but it was stowed out, and it had scarf badges and tapes, people looking for tickets, which in those days, I well know they used to hold the tickets up. I mean, there was none for Rangers Celtic games, but every other game that they would normally get one. So I remember going up into the Ibrox and walked down the front of Ibrox, down Emerson Drive, which I always loved doing, and then went in, and I remember there seemed to be a lot more police than normal. I'm talking Rangers Celtic game, and there was Celtic fans were letting us know what they thought of Maurice Johnson. Rangers fans were letting them know, giving it, and it was brilliant, man. I loved that kind of stuff. It was it was brilliant, and I went into Ibrox, and it was the atmosphere. It was one of because I think it's from what there's many games that we talk about big atmospheres. The game against the Russians where Ali scored, the two each game where Goff scores in the last minute with the sending off Graham Roberts. And I was at all those games as well. So we'll talk about them. But this one, I remember getting in at Ibrox, and it was toxic, and I think because the thing about Mo Johnson saying, and they won't admit this, it changed it. It was always nasty and bitter between us, but it got really bitter, especially by them, and that still happens. It's still um, in the air to this day. Celtic fans don't like it to this day. It changed them, and Mo Johnson saying for us, no matter what they say, that helped us win a couple of leagues because it ruined them. It absolutely ruined them. Now I've seen Celtic fans write blogs and all that, trying to downplay it, saying it wasn't that bad and all that. Aye, it was. It was huge. It was massive at the time. As they talk about Figo going from Barca to Real Madrid is the biggest. This was, and we all know why. He'd been paraded at Parkhead with Billy McNeil, a Celtic legend, somebody that every Rangers players from back then have got respect for. Like you, when I did my podcast with Derek Parlin, Derek Parlane signed Billy McNeil signed Derek Parlane for Manchester City, and yet they used to have tussles when they played against each other. But my point being, went into the ground, to this day, the bitterness and the nastiness, it changed when Mo Johnston signed for them, and it's still there to this day. That's my view anyway. But yeah, like Celtic fans have tried to change the history of that. No, he signed. You thought he was signing. He was paraded in the Celtic shirt, and he was a great player, but it wasn't just. And there's also the religion thing, which is people say it was the first RC that signed for a Woods. No, it wasn't. But crap, that there was many of them played, but like somebody said, it wasn't the fact we signed somebody that used to play for Celtic. It's a player, the kind of person Mo was. Mo Johnston was a die-hard Celtic, die-in-the-wheel fan. He grew up loving the Celtic, and then he signed for us, and to this day, why did he do that? Obviously, it was money. I mean, he couldn't live in Glasgow. To this day, he can't stay in Glasgow. He'll tell you that himself when you see his interviews. But anyway, the day of the match, sorry, the birds are going mental now. And from what I remember, it wasn't that good a game. It wasn't the best game ever. I seem to remember. And then, like and where I was in the enclosure, it was right at the Brooklyn Road. Then, just because the atmosphere there used to be amazing, I used to love that. And I remember, who was it? Was it Bomber won the ball in the centre half, sitting in the centre of the pitch? I can't remember. Fergie, it was one of them too. And they actually Mo got the ball, and he sets up. He's part of the phase before he scores. And where we were, like, if you've been to Ibrox, I was right down. We could see it, and it just seemed as if life went into slow motion. And I remember when the ball, and I think I jumped. I can't remember. It was just, and I can't. It was just one of the best moments ever supporting a football club, supporting the Rangers. And do you know what happened as well? Obviously in the enclosure at that time, at that game, there was cops all down the fence, just for obvious reasons. And there was at least one cop was just jumping about mad, as if he lost it as well as a Ranger. He was obviously a Rangers fan, and I remember, you can hear ding 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 ding, and there was the coins were coming across and all that. But that's the way it was. It was, and they did not like that at all. They were trying, because you don't see it in the telly. There was some of them come on the pitch as well. Some Celtic fans come over got onto the pitch. The cops got them quite quickly, and then I remember the final whistle went, and it was just Mo, Super Mo, and you'll see when Mo scores that goal, he runs off the pitch and gives it. He's right up to the east enclosure, and you see him running across the front of the court, and even now, it still gives me chills. He's a Celtic man through and through, and it was as if he had scored the final for Celtic at Hampden against us. And he actually got booked for the celebration. I think that's the first time I can remember a player being booked for the celebrations, and you see the scarf coming on and everything. And that lot have never, in their heads, recovered from that. They'll deny it, but that damaged them, that. And I can't imagine what that must have felt like for them. It's great what it did. But it's like Ali McCoist going to them and it's like Ali going away to Monaco or wherever it was. I can't remember where we got him from. Anyway, the French team. Nancy won it. And Nantes or whatever. And imagine Ali going there, then coming back, being paraded by, say, Graham Souness at Ibrox, then 2 days later, whatever it was, signing for Celtic. It's just unbelievable. And also, I remember the time he scored at Parkhead as well, because I think it was Anton Rogan or something, or Derek White, a bad pass back to Paddy Bonner. And it was a great finish, man. And he chips it over Bonner at Parkhead, man. And I was at that as well in the Rangers then. Janefield Street, wasn't it? Mo Johnston signed for Rangers, and he was a superb striker. I watched a podcast recently with Ali. Come on, there's a cat coming. With Ali McCoist, and he was right. He said at the time when Mo Johnston was at Rangers, come on, you coming up? When he was at Rangers, there we go. As you come over, so here's me talking. When Mo Johnston was at Rangers, Ali said he felt he was in the top 3 strikers in the world, and he was, because it took a while for him to score. Because I also remember as well, he got a deal with Puma, to wear the Puma Kings, which are up, yourselves if you're from that age. Some will say the best boots ever, and there's a reason why Cruyff, Maradona, and Pele wore them. But I think he was getting £1,000 a goal, and it took him a while. And am I right in saying his first goal was against Hearts? What'd you say? Yeah, you think he's a good player as well? Good cat. he was one of the top three strikers of all, and he was. I mean, Mo Johnston nowadays, man, that's £100 million striker, easy. But I know I googled him recently, and he's not got a big, he's got no online, he's not got much of an online presence since he left. Uh, okay. He's not got much of an online presence because he would just get abused. I think he lives in Miami now, doing training. I think it's a youth setup or something like that. But that was just a great time to be alive, great time to be a Rangers fan. It always is. But these kind of times are coming back. Maybe not signing ex-Celtic strikers like, but it was just a good. So, what's your games? Do you remember? Put it in the comments for us, and we can have a wee blather this Saturday. All right. Cheers.